behind me is the MY24 Subaru Forester, and this is a base model here, and I'll be reviewing it today. In this review, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the exterior of the car, have a look at the interior car, and then take it for a drive, and I'm going to talk about what it's like on the road. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to this channel by pressing the subscribe button, which will be popping up below. Alright, having a look at this, Subaru did a bit of an update in late 2021 of the Forester to sort of compete with some of the newer cars that were coming out, like the Sportage and the Tuscan, the Renault Tuscan there. So not a major update here. You've got these slightly adjusted LED headlights that run in there. Then it's got a Xenon headlights there. And it's got some just basic fog lights here. A lot of plastic at the front here, so you've got this big plastic grille, big plastic Subaru badge there, a few lines there on the bonnet, but not the most attractive car. Being a Subaru Forester, it's more about practicality than something that's going to really stand out in the driveway there and impress your neighbours. So taking you for a closer look around the side here, you've got these 17-inch wheels there. Again, for me, nothing special. Again, it is a base model, so normally don't get anything special on there. The tyres on this are 60 profile and 225 wide. Coming along the side here, you can see as standard you get the privacy tip here, so it's a bit darker at the rear there, which is good as a standard feature. Often with the Europeans you have to pay extra for that. You've got your black roof rails there for putting some roof racks in. I'm sure most people that buy this will be using those roof rails there. And then you've got a good ground clearance on this. So most of its competitors are about 200 mils or even less than that. This has got 220 mil ground clearance. So if you do want to take it off-road, obviously not too far off-road, you won't have hopefully too much of a problem with hitting any rocks or anything like that, as long as you don't go too extreme there. Alright, we'll take you a look around the rear of the car and show you what the rear of the car looks like. So they've facelifted the rear lights here. You can see it's slightly different design there. The back here, you've got a bit of a wing that comes out here. You've got the shark fin big aerial there. You've got a rear camera that just sits around there. Besides that, because it's a base model, you've got these black plastic bumpers that don't look great. Obviously, you go to higher models, it's going to be painted nice and white, or at least the colour, whatever colour car that you have. And it's got a real exhaust tip here, which is rare on cars these days. So it's one single exhaust tip there. What we'll do now is we'll take you around the interior and show you what that's like. Inside the Subaru Forester, it's nothing really that special. I found it looks a bit outdated in here, and it looks like they haven't changed too much from the original Subaru Forester, the one that before they updated here. You've got this 8-inch infotainment system, which I think is quite small compared to its sort of competitors, which have around a 10-inch system, and the clarity is looking pretty basic there and potentially even cheap there. If you come down, you've just got your push buttons here. Again, shiny plastics. I'm not sure I really like that. This one is the base model, so it just comes with your standard air conditioning rather than climate control. You've got a space here for a phone, but it won't fit any of the bigger phones in there, so it might be, you have to hold it sideways, so that might be a bit annoying. Then you've got some USB sockets down there, just your regular USB, no micro USB sockets down there. Standard looking gear stick. If you want to take it off-road at all, you've got your different modes that you can use here with your X mode button down there. Electronic handbrake there, some cup holders there, a center console with a whole bunch of different features for coins. If you've got coins there, if you want to rest anything small there, then you should be able to take that out like that. And then you've got a lot of area there in the center console. The seats here, they're quite comfortable. Subarus, I always don't mind their seats in there. The fabric here is good. It looks like a nice quality fabric as well. I don't mind the pattern on it. It looks more high-end than some of the other fabric I've seen on other cars in a similar sort of class to it, like I think the Toyota RAV4. It doesn't look that great inside from memory. The materials they've used, there's some soft plastics in here. I thought they would like to mix it up a bit with some of the colours in here. It's very black. If you go the higher end model, you will get a bit of contrast here with a bit of chrome highlights there and that, but this being the base model, it looks fairly basic in there. And then there's some cheap plastics down here as well. Other things in the cabin, you've got this very common thing in Subarus, which is another infotainment system there. So it just gives you a bit more infotainment system. We'll come back to that because I'm not really sure the positioning of it and things like that when I talk about what's like the drive. Then you've got no virtual cockpit here, so you've just got your standard gauges here, which again make it look outdated here with a DIS system in the middle there, which when the car's on will show you different bits of information, which I'll just show you quickly now. Coming back to the steering wheel here, I think the steering wheel is a good size. It's not too cluttered here, so it's pretty easy to find everything you want. Like, you've got your cruise control buttons there, and then you can control the infotainment system and what stations that you're listening on the radio or something like that. So it's all fairly usable there. And then this one doesn't have any electric seats, just got a manual seat there. So that's the front of the cabin here. What we'll do is we'll take you around the rear. In the back here and there is actually a great amount of space in here. So a lot of legroom in here, more than most mid-size SUV. And then the drivetrain, this doesn't come up at all, so that middle seat's actually usable. A good amount of headroom as well. I'm nowhere near touching the top here, so if you've got a tall passenger, they shouldn't have any difficulties fitting in here. You've got 2 air conditioning ducts in here for your rear passengers, and then you've got some charging ports, USB charging ports in there as well. If I just take a look and sit in this middle seat, you can see there's still a good amount of headroom in the middle seat there. What else can we show in here? The seats seem quite comfortable in the rear here. There's got these ISOFIX there for child seats if you want. Put some child seats in there, it should be pretty simple. And then this should come down with some cup holders, as I'd expect. So 2 cup holders there. And then these seats will fold down 60-40. But they're not on rails, these seats, so you can't move them forward or back. They're fixed position there, so you can't give yourself more cargo space if you wanted to by moving these forwards, which with some of its competitors you can actually do that. All right, well, let's take you around and check out the boot space. The boot space in this, it's 490 litres, which isn't that big for its class. There's a lot bigger boots that you get that are normally over 500 litres with some of its competitors, but it actually seems to feel a bit bigger than the 490 litres in there. You've got this cargo cover here, and then you've got some storage pockets down here, and you've got a spare tyre here. I don't know if it's a full-size spare. We'll take a look there. It says it's 17-inch. It looks like it is actually a full-size spare, so it's quite rare to get that, a full-size spare in cars these days. And you can see all those storage pockets there as well. You can pull down the seats just by pressing there, and that will make the seats go down if you need to use that for further room. And then I can't see any, oh yeah, I can see there is a 12-volt socket just here as well, if you wanted to charge anything like that, putting an electric esky or something in there as well. A few hooks here for tying down things, and again the practicality of the Subaru Forester. So yeah, that's the rear of the car. And because it's the base model, you've got no automatic close, so it requires manual close. The boot's not too heavy there, so reasonably easy to close. All right, let's take the car for a drive now and see what it's like on the road. So in the Subaru Forester, driving it now, and it's pretty easy to sort of get your feel for the car when you're jumping in the car. What I did find is the last 2 cars I've driven, I've found it just when it connected Apple CarPlay, and I started thinking it's actually my phone that's got the problem. But with this one, I plugged it straight in the USB socket, it picked up Apple CarPlay straight away. So that's better than any of the other last 2 cars that I drove. Looking around, it's got really big windows all around the cabin, so you can see like very well all the way around the car. There's not too many blind spots. The only thing that does annoy me, and I said this when I reviewed the earlier models of the Subaru Forester, is there's a 3/4 panel there, and you'll see now on the video, it always gets me. I feel just in the corner there, when you can catch it out of the corner of your eye, you feel like there's a car actually there. Being the base model, you don't actually miss out on too much technology in this. I think all you miss out on is there's some side cameras and the front camera, which you don't get in this, and the heated seats. But other than that, you get pretty much everything else. So you get what Subaru call their EyeSight system there, safety system. And that pretty much comes with your brake mitigation alerts, your rear cross collision alerts, your pedestrian alerts there. This also has adaptive cruise control. You don't get the adaptive high beams until you go the model up from this model, but you've got your side assist, which is actually quite similar to the Audi system, or at least in looks there, which just goes orange if there's a car. I might see if it comes up now. It won't come up now. Orange in the side there, just on the side of the side mirrors there. Then you've got this sort of archaic-like lane assist. So it just, if I go out of the lane, it just lights up orange there, to remind me that the orange bars will get longer and longer as I'm going into that second lane, but it's very old school and kind of, I guess, reminds me of the interior of the cabin, which is also, as I mentioned before, quite old school there. Stereo system in this, for a basic stereo system, it's not too bad. It's got a bit of a punchy bass to it, so it's definitely not the worst stereo system I've heard in other cars. I think the Mazda CX-5's got a pretty average stereo system in there as well, so it's definitely more impressive than that system. You can, if you go to the higher model, you will get the Harman and Kardon system, but I've heard that's not that great actually, so it may not be worth upgrading to it or just going the model up just to get that system. The engine in this, so all of the Subaru Foresters come with a 2.5 litre 4-cylinder engine, no matter what model you get. They are bringing out some hybrid models which will come out with a 2-litre engine, but this is the non-hybrid model, and this has got 136 kilowatts and 239 newton meters of torque, so it's not very powerful, but it doesn't ever feel too underpowered just driving on the highway. It's sort of more than enough. Obviously, if you want something more performance, you wouldn't be buying the base model Forester there. 0 to 100, Subaru says about 9.1 seconds, so yeah, definitely not super quick at all. Brakes on this, they feel strong and tight, and I feel that it rides really nicely. At the moment, I've been driving for the last week or so an X3 and BMW X3, and this actually feels like it rides a bit smoother than that. Obviously, it doesn't have the sound deadening that the Europeans have, so when you're on the highway, you can hear a lot more wind noise and road noise, but it is pretty smooth. Although I feel the steering at times can be light. On the highway, it's okay, but when you start to go around urban areas, it does feel a bit unresponsive or not responding the way you'd like it to. So that could be improved. Handling, so it's not really made for throwing it around corners, and when I first got in this, I was a bit concerned that it might not be the greatest handler, and just because of that low speeds, the sort of steering isn't very responsive and I guess even reliable, but it actually sits flatter than I would have thought around corners, so it's not the worst performer around corners, and you won't sort of float off the road or anything like that if you decide to push it around any tight turns there. Fuel consumption, so Subaru says this is a combined 7.4 litres per 100 kilometres. In the sort of age of hybrid sort of motors, that's not too exciting, that figure. And I've been driving most of my driving on this on the highway, and it's actually showing me it's 8.1 litres per 100 kilometres. So when you get to the city, I'm sure it's going to get a lot higher than that. You're going to be probably doing the 11s or high 10s when driving around town. What else to tell you about this car? One of the things I noticed as well when driving is the amount of the screens they've got here. So again, something I mentioned when I was talking showing around the interior of the car, you've got, you know, obviously the infotainment system, then you've got this sort of driver information display system there, and then you've got the middle driver information display system, which I showed you as well. And I think there's just too much information they're showing you in all these screens. I don't understand why they need this system there. I know it's been on Subarus for at least the last decade. They've had that sort of Subaru look of these two screens there, but like when I was driving on the highway, I was kind of looking at it, trying to read what was there, but I couldn't even concentrate with what was there, so you kind of take your eyes off the road by reading that there, and you want to be looking straight ahead there. So I don't understand like the thought of putting it there. If you want to put it there, maybe have it like beam up or something like that on the windscreen, or put it more above you or something like that. So I'm just not sure what Subaru was thinking. And I know they've had it there for a long time, but just keeping it there, I'm surprised they've kept it like that for such a long time. What do I think about the car? Look, not that impressed with the interior. I just said when I sort of was talking about the interior, I feel it's a bit outdated. It's sort of, you know, could have been from half a decade ago. Cars had similar interiors in 2014. They really need to sort of upgrade that and look at a way to sort of make it a lot more modern there. I also feel like the engine's not the most powerful as well, and they could have put something a bit more exciting in there. And then the looks, look, as I mentioned, it's practical. It's not supposed to be a sexy looking car, but it's not a very, for me, attractive looking car. I guess what I like about it, smooth on the road, you're gonna, you know, it's gonna be a reliable car, Japanese made. You shouldn't have any problems with that. And then you'll be able to take it off-road, where a lot of these base model SUVs actually aren't even all-wheel drives or four-wheel drives, they're just front-wheel drives. But any model you get in this is going to be an all-wheel drive model. Well, now thanks for watching the review, and if you liked the review, please give it a like.